Check it out. I can test my reflexes with it.
Shave it up!
Hey everybody, Clean Shaver here. I have a review video for you today, and I promised that I would get this out this weekend. I apologize. Things got crazy. I'm actually going to be on the road here in just a little bit, so I'm going to edit while I'm on the plane and post it when I get on the ground. So I have a new razor for you. So I was super stoked to be one of the first people to actually get to try this razor. I'm super honored by that. It's one that's caused no small stir in the shaving hobbyist community. All 60 of us. I'm just kidding. There's a lot more than that, but I joke. This is the Rocnel, I think I said that right, stainless steel, 316 stainless steel, single edge razor. Now don't let the look of this razor deceive you, because it looks, in pictures, it looks really big. It really does. But it's not as big as it looks. I mean, and I have average size hands. It's not that huge. Anyway, I've set up some score points for it. I also want to answer a few questions that I've gotten from people about it. Okay, first, no, this does not use the Feather Artist or Kai long Shavette style blades like you find in the Mongoose or the Cobra. This uses a half DE blade. A half DE blade, which makes it a bit more economical than some of those other blades, because those other blades can be pretty expensive. But DE blades, super cheap. So, +1 for that. It is interesting though in how it's set up, and I'll show you what I mean. So you can see right in there, this is, it just slides right in there. It's a slot. It's not, you don't screw it down or anything like that. You detach the handle, and that's it. What I don't want you to think is that because it's machined in that way that it's not going to shave you well, because it will. And it's a really interesting setup. So I'll show you how this works. So when you do the blade, it is actually just wide enough. It is actually just wide enough to fit this interior portion of the blade. So you see where the blade curves in just a little bit there and then sticks out, and you see the actual blade part. It's just wide enough to go parallel with those nubs, with those tabs right there. Okay? So that's one thing with it. So you know that when you've got it slid into the slot, it's exactly right. Because otherwise it wouldn't fit any other way. It won't go all the way back otherwise. So you know that it's in correctly. So that's a pretty cool design feature. Now with it, when you do it, it also leaves you just enough of a nub on the end of the blade to be able to get it out. Seriously, really cool. Okay, so I've got an old blade in here. I'm just gonna slide that right out. Now, admittedly, you still need to be careful doing this. Okay, it's still a super sharp blade, and you don't want to be casually taking it out. You want to be careful about what you're doing. Okay, but I want to show you how to load it. Okay, so I've got that old blade, and I have a new half blade. And again, it doesn't matter if you're using a manufactured half blade or if you're using just a snapped in half DE, because this part, the actual part that fits into a regular razor, is all that matters. These tabs on the ends actually snap off. I'll show you what I mean. Okay, so we take the regular head and we just slide it right in. Okay, now you'll only be able to slide it so far with just the pads of your fingers. Eventually, you'll need to, I'll turn it around this way so you can see. Eventually, you'll need to slide it in by using the tabs on the ends. You just kind of wiggle it in a little bit. And when you can't put it any farther, you check it and make sure, oh, it looks a little bit lopsided. So I need to adjust that. There we go. Okay, now it's fit nicely in. Okay, and these little tabs on the end, yeah, if you weren't careful, you'd totally nick yourself with those, because they're even sharp. I mean, it's just, they're not sharpened, but they're still thin metal, and you could nick yourself with it. So what I do is I just snap it off. Like that. Okay. A little bit comes off, just snap it off. Okay, bend it one way, bend it the other way, comes right off. Okay, then you're ready to shave. So once you're done, once you get 2, maybe 3 shaves out of it, remember you're only using half a blade this time, so you're not using both sides of the DE, so it's not going to last quite as long for one side. But once you're done, just do the same thing we just did. Just take it out carefully. Take it out with your fingers, and you're good. Takes it out. Pretty cool, right? So there's that question answered. So another question that I get is it heavy? And the answer is ish. Okay, it's not the heaviest razor I've ever used. The heaviest one that I've used is the Hone Type 15, which I believe was about 160 grams-ish. This is not far off, actually. This is 139 grams, so it is fairly heavy. As can be expected from a head that is solid stainless steel. So it's not a lightweight razor by any stretch of the imagination, but it's got some good weight to it. There's no blade in it. The thing with this razor is just to let the weight of the razor do the work, okay? And so there is that question as well. Overall, I am impressed, especially for the price point, $25, which I'll get to in just a minute, but you can't go wrong. Now, let's get into the points. On all my razor reviews, I grade on design, efficiency, price, and cool factor. Now, for design, I decided that, you know what, it really is a very unique design, a very innovative design. Because how many razors do you see out there that, besides a Chevette, where the blade is just held in by tension, instead of a cap coming down over top of it or being held in by topical pressure, this is just slid in. And the expert way that it's machined and that they get that little slit in there is just right. I really dig that. It's really cool. And from a design standpoint, it's not the prettiest razor that I've ever seen, but they are going to be coming out with a titanium coated, a bronze coated, or brass, I can't remember, and gold coated, which those are pretty. I imagine if this had a more polished head, I would think it was probably a little bit better looking, but it's not bad by any means. So design, I give this an 8.8. The reason I knock it down just a little bit is because the angle is a little bit hard to find, a little bit tricky. Without using the right blade, for me, using a feather in this was murder. It really just did not do well for me. Granted, I don't do well with feathers generally. I put a Voicebyte in there, I've put a Persona Lab Blue in there, and they did very well. Another side note is that as a head shaver, this didn't do that well for me, at least not yet. I haven't quite honed that as far as the actual head shave is concerned. It just didn't quite work well for me. That being said, not everybody's a head shaver, and I recognize that. And so I decided to not knock it down for that much, and I think I could eventually get the hang of it. It's just me being dumb, okay? So I decided to give it an 8.8. Now, for efficiency, I gave it an 8.5. This is not an inefficient razor. It's also not a super efficient razor. So it's not uber aggressive. Using the right blade, it can do very well for you. I did find, though, that the first pass, which I look for that initial reduction pass to do quite a lot, generally with a razor, and this left quite a lot there. And so I was able to make up for that with subsequent passes, obviously, but I feel like it could be just a little bit more efficient. Not necessarily more aggressive, because like I said, using a feather blade in there was really bad. But I think it could be just improved upon that much more. Maybe make the angle just a little bit easier to find and make it a little easier to use. Okay, now price. This thing's $25, at least right now. I think he might be planning on doing this is just kind of an introductory price, and he might be raising it later on, but $25 for a stainless steel razor that is going to stand the test of time, that's really hard to argue with, so I give it a 10. You have to give it a 10. It's just stupid cheap. It really is. I have no arguments with that. So $25 for this, that's pretty fantastic. 10. Now, cool factor. This is totally subjective. I understand not everybody's going to dig this razor as much as I do, and it's not going to be the perfect fit for everybody. And it's probably not even a perfect fit for me. But that being said, I think it's a cool razor. I think it is. There are some things that I would probably change. If I had a different handle on it, I might like it a little bit better. He does have optional handles. If the head was a little different color, if it was shinier, things like that. Just little minor touches. that I think could make it cooler for me, but I still think it's a very cool razor. I think it is something that I would be happy to have in my den and be proud to show off to people if anybody were to visit my tiny bathroom. So, all in all, I give it a 9 for cool factor. Not perfect, but still I think it's a very cool razor, and there's been a lot of hubbub about this razor. So that brings us to a total of 36.3 out of 40, which is about a 90.75% or so. So I'm rounding up to 91, which is an A-. So a very good score. This, especially for the money, is a good razor. I think a lot of people would really enjoy using it. I plan on continuing to use it and continuing to learn how it works, especially for my head. You can see a few battle wounds here on my head from when I took a few chunks out of my scalp. And that was my fault. I was being dumb. I wasn't being as careful as I should have been. I was rushing. I don't blame the tool. I blame the person. That's my review of the Rocnel 316 single edge stainless steel razor. If you have any questions for me, put it down in the comment section below. I'll put a link in the description below where you can find this razor. And just to be warned, it's a pre-order basis. So you basically pre-order and you get your name on the list. And then he'll email you and let you know when it's ready to ship, and you'll pay at that point. I don't know how far out you might have to wait to get one of these. It's, like I said, caused quite a stir, and for good reason, but it is worth getting, especially for the $25. That's my review, everybody. Thank you so much for watching. I really appreciate it. If you would like to see my review on Captain's Choice Bay Rum soaps and aftershaves, and their lathering bowl, plus giveaways in this video too, click up here. And then if you'd like to hear a little bit more about a fundraiser that I'm doing for my son who has a rare condition called Prader-Willi syndrome, then click on the video up here and take just a few minutes and watch it. We'd love for you to have take just a few minutes and support us if you can. So don't forget to like, favorite, subscribe, and find me on all my social media outlets: Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, Voicebyte, Google+, Snapchat. I'm on there too. I hardly ever use it, but I'm on there. Thanks for watching, everybody. Be smooth, shave it up, and we'll see you next time.